Hi, welcome to Lead with a Coaching Mindset, a podcast where we explore how leaders unlock followers' potential. I am Dr. Damian Goldvarg, and I am very excited to discuss my new book, Lead with a Coaching Mindset.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine Padilla. I'm also a coach, and I will be the host of this podcast. We hope that you find this space inspirational and thought provoking. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Lead with a Coaching Mindset. We meet with Elaine twice a month to discuss Lead with a Coaching Mindset, the book that I published last year. And in every session, we discuss one of the chapters. And we are going to be exploring together today chapter number 4, Coaching Agreements. Elaine, how are you today?
Good. I'm doing well. Good to see you again, Damian. Yeah, so chapter 4, the work agreement. What makes it important? Tell us more about this agreement that you discuss in chapter 4.
Well, coaching agreement is one of the competencies for professional coaches. And following the International Coach Federation framework, there are 8 competencies. And in
Mm-hmm.
the book, each chapter is one of the competencies. So this is a chapter number 4, is the third competency that is about agreement. And the idea is that to the extent that we develop good agreements and we contract for what we need, for what our expectations, for how we are going to be working together, the more possibilities are for us to have better working conditions. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea is that when we intentionally spend time building the relationship, clarifying need, clarifying expectations, there are more possibilities to have effective relationships.
Yeah, okay. So you mentioned in the book you talk about the importance of onboarding. So the kind of
Mhm.
setting the foundation. What makes it important, for leaders to serve as a coach and as a mentor to their employees?
Well, I think that onboarding is an opportunity to start building that relationship.
Hmm.
And when people are entering into a new culture, into a new system, when leaders are intentional in creating the conditions for their new employees to succeed, they intentionally have some practices. And Gallup studied on successful onboarding,
Hmm.
and they have some suggestions, and I present these strategies in my book. I want to talk about that. Basically, the idea is that when leaders and organizations invest in onboarding practices, there are more opportunities for the process to go faster because it takes some time for people to just get into a new job and start being effective at the work. There is a learning curve. So, what do you do to enhance this learning curve? What do you do to make this faster? Because they say that onboarding can maybe last a whole year till
Wow.
somebody feel completely confident in the new job. And so number one is communication.
Hmm.
Is communication is about clarifying communication channels, being open to discuss issues, being clear about what is needed. So being intentional in particularly understanding what are the other people needs, and you need to ask questions. So communication is all about intentionally being curious also about the people who are new employees and asking questions to getting to know them, being intentional, having clear communication, and the new person feeling comfortable going with questions to the leaders. So opening the communication channel, let's say number one. Number
Hmm.
two is about being supportive. Being supportive. Different people need different things. So finding out what my new employee needs, what are the unique needs, what are the strengths, what are the areas of for opportunity. Some of that you may know from the interviewing process. So if the interviewing process has been effective, you already started building the relationship there. So you don't start from zero. There is a relationship between interviewing, hiring, and onboarding. There are two processes that go hand in hand to the extent that it has been an effective hiring process and onboarding process. Both of them will create opportunity for succeed. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes the hiring process is not done correctly or it's in a hurry and then they don't get the right person to the job and then there are a lot of problems. And then in this onboarding is an opportunity to go a little bit further in understanding the unique needs of each person to create the supportive environment. The third one from the book is integrating into the new company culture. It's about creating conditions for people to understand how people work in the organization. And again, in the hiring process, that should have been discussed to some extent, but that needs to be reinforced. I remember many years ago, Elaine, when I had a job at a company, and my boss sent a message to the whole company saying, listen, Damian Goldvarg joined us our company. He's a very experienced trainer. We're very lucky to have him. Please help me to welcome him into the organization,
That's great.
support him about telling him how we do things here, and thank you for your support in the onboarding process. So she was pretty intentional. And that email meant so much to me because I was new, I didn't know anybody. And for her just saying a few nice words about me was opening the path, the space for people to get to know me and to be interested and curious about me and contacting me and supporting me. So leaders can make a big difference in this process just with a brief email like this one that it took her 5 minutes to write and contributed for me a great deal. So these are kind of the small things
Yeah.
that leaders with a coaching mindset think because they're thinking about, okay, how people can get the most support
Hmm.
and then how they can be integrated into the culture. Some companies have mentoring programs, a specific program where people work with a mentor
Hmm.
that is assigned, and the mentor helps the new person to understand the culture and the organization. But in most of the cases, people don't have that luxury. So the leader looks for opportunities and ways for new employees to get to understand and know the culture. And the other one is about related to like having clear goals,
Hmm.
and so you can measure them. So if the goals are not clear and this is also related to performance appraisals and performance management processes. Some
Hmm.
organizations are strong about that, some are not. So it should be a link between hiring, onboarding, performance management. Ideally, you do have a relationship between all of these elements. Sometimes that not happen, but when it's possible, you also set up people for success by being clear about how goals are going to be set and how they're going to be measured. So all of these elements support people to be successful. And the last one that I think is also important is about ongoing learning and development. So it's not just, okay, you got all of the support, that's it. You need to provide opportunities for ongoing learning, training, coaching conversations, opportunity for people to learn from each other, but having this in place so people can count on these opportunities to keep learning and growing.
So, while you were sharing that list of sort of best practices on onboarding, it made me think about, what if, what if somebody's listening to you and they realize, oh my God, I didn't do a good job of onboarding my employee. We know sometimes people
Mhm.
feel uncomfortable kind of showing up differently and kind of like admitting their mistake. Do you have any tips for managers that might discover that, oof, I didn't do everything that Damien is recommending?
Yeah.
It would be a good idea. How can they feel comfortable having that conversation with
Mhm.
their new employee?
Well, the good news, Elaine, you're never late. You always can go
Okay.
back and say,
Uh-huh.
I would like to spend some time clarifying what you need, what are
Hmm.
your expectations, and clarify what we need, setting up some goals, looking for opportunities to connect people with others. Some of these practices, ideally, you set it up at the beginning, but if it is not possible or you don't know about it, or you
Hmm.
can still take them into consideration and make them happen. I like to say that people don't have a crystal ball. They cannot read your mind. So if you spend time knowing them, understanding them, and getting them to know you and understanding you, then there are more possibilities for success. Like if you look at previous interviews and in my book, I was remembering when we discussed this topic with one of our leaders from Google,
Hmm.
he shared that he spent time at the beginning of the process with everybody who is new, he should, or even when he was new to a team, not was somebody new in the team, he was new to a whole team. So
Yeah.
he needed to set himself up for success in the relationship with all of these people. So
Yeah.
he would spend time with every person for a couple of weeks, looking for opportunities to have one-on-one sessions, getting to know them, for them to get to know him, and investing time in getting to know each other and understanding each other. He think that that was key for his success in the position.
Well, it makes me, what is the challenge or what makes it more important to do this when you work with a hybrid team or completely remote? What do you need to do in addition to this, to these recommendations?
Well, this is this is a real world, isn't it? Now a lot of people work virtually, and leaders need to pay attention that again, if they're going to set up for success, and people are going to be virtually, if they're not going to be in person, they need again to be intentional. How are you intentional so you are sure that again people are set up for success? For example, about clarifying expectations. Hybrid work allows people to work from home so they don't have to travel, they don't have to spend money in renting an office. There are a lot of ways that there are savings from doing that. But also, there is a cost sometimes in building these relationships. So you need to spend even more time being sure that you get to know each other, that you understand the other person need, that the person get to understand you and your needs. So you need to create conditions for exchange and interaction between you and the new person, but also between the person and the whole team. So
Mm,
here, when you're working in a hybrid world, and sometimes there is a mixture of you work sometimes hybrid and some in the office. That's different when it's completely hybrid. When it's completely hybrid, you have to be even more intentional in creating opportunities for socializing, the
mhm.
small talk that happen when you meet in person but doesn't happen virtually. How
Yeah.
you create this small talk space virtually. So here is where again the leader need to be paying attention and investing time in having meetings, activities that will allow people to get to know each other, support each other, and build trust and psychological safety. That will be our next chapter in the book.
Yeah. Yeah, so I hear you saying that the manager needs to be intentional. I do know that there are employees who miss that time connecting with their colleagues, and so then, they try to meet them for coffee, halfway or for lunch as a way to build community because they know that they're missing out on those opportunities that happen in the hallway or just grabbing coffee
When it's
in the
possible, that's great. And
lunchroom.
when possible,
When
it's great.
possible, exactly, exactly. But for others, that takes not only does a manager need to be intentional, but then the employee it also needs to be really intentional to find time to connect with colleagues when it's not focused on a task or a project, but just kind of getting to know each other.
Yeah, so that's a good example that you need to tango. You need to have a
Yes.
leader who's paying attention to this thing, but then you need to have collaborators who are willing
Hmm.
to take the initiative to spend time in creating their own conditions for success.
Hmm. Hmm. Great. Well, Damien, I think that's all for today.
Yeah, well, thank you,
Yeah.
Elaine. Looking forward to our next episode.
Sounds good. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.